As noble citizens, we must bypass a life of dormancy and vice to pursue the generative endeavor of a hard day's work. The benefits of these pursuits are not secured by chance or charity, but through the merit of your character and the firmness of your convictions. It is you who are planting the seeds of trees whose shade you know you shall never see.
All right, what's up? Welcome back to the Broken Wind podcast. You are here with the absolute boy, the main Vane, Mr. Vane himself.
And then we got Butler here, the boy.
Yeah. We're here. We're ready. We're trying to swim through the deluge of news coming out constantly, and we're not going to hit all of it. We're going to try and focus on the fun stuff. Yeah, but how you been otherwise, buddy? How are your cats?
My cats are doing pretty well. They like that they were made into the album artwork, and I think that also your cat likes that as well, doesn't he?
He is. And I want to start the show off by giving a huge shout out to our first Patreon subscriber. We are so happy to have you, human person. Thank you so much for subscribing to the pod.
There's a human listening to this. That's crazy.
And it's amazing, and also the fact that you're an ex-Mormon too. Like, you're awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing. Seriously,
here. We're so thankful to have you.
And we look forward to building up a community more. And you're gonna be a key part of it as number one sub from the beginning.
Guess
Thank
what?
you so much.
We like you so much that we didn't even charge you the Mormon fee.
They said, did you read the comment they put for us? They told us that there is actually I'll pull it up. There is actually a Mormon hell that we didn't know about.
I did read that. And I stand corrected. My apologies.
Yeah, thank you.
Sometimes we get it wrong.
Thank you for your insight. They were funny. They said, also as an apostate destined for outer darkness, you can't charge me more. And I think that's fair. I said something like, thank you. And you're in the Mormon tier, but we're giving him the outer darkness discount. So that's how that works.
Yeah, right.
They get all the benefits of the Mormon tier, but they're paying the regular subscription. So again, thank you so much. Seriously, your money is so valued. It's going to building the show, paying our hardworking producer over here, Mr. Vane. And I mean, without further ado, I guess we'll start with the earth-shattering, absolutely wild start to the week. I think it happened on, I don't know what day it happened exactly, but the breakdown of this mineral deal between Trump and Zelensky, where things got really contentious in the White House, and they basically ended up canceling their press conference, canceling the deal from what we can see. And I mean,
I believe that was Friday, right?
I think, it was. It was you're right. It was very, very recent.
At the end of the week, tail end of the week. But the thing that was really, I think, not surprising about it was that Trump had been alluding this whole time that he's going to side with Russia in this conflict. So a lot of people in the mainstream press were shocked by this. And, of course, there was a genuinely shocking component to this interaction, but also he'd been saying the whole time leading up to it, like, I'm going to side with Russia, and he'd been extorting them for mineral resources. So.
Right, well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, on its face, it's such a thing to do to a war-torn country that, like, you've ostensibly been goading into this conflict from the beginning. And I guess I want to preface this whole conversation by saying that, like, neither of us are experts in Russia-Ukraine history. We both have a pretty cursory understanding of it. My mom actually used to speak Russian, but it's not like I have any real expertise beyond that, and, like, reading a little bit. And the other thing, too, is that, like, in leftist, like, commentary and stuff, I think it is often hard for people to sometimes, like, understand the position, and they just immediately go to, like, the reactionary understanding of these people are sympathizing with Russia, and that isn't true. And most good faith commentators outside of like the like Pat Soak creeps or whatever the hell is like, they really do have a view of basically say, I'll, take the war nerd position on is basically that like it's two right-wing countries that have gone to war with each other, and Ukraine absolutely has the moral high ground. There's no doubt about that. It's terrible what Russia did to Ukraine. Yeah. But it is like, it was always going to be the reality is that, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and I maybe we have a Ukrainian listener too who I'd love to hear from, but I've been thinking about this a lot.
Love
that like
to get you to subscribe if you're a Ukrainian listener.
Please, yeah, please. If we're wrong, if anyone has further insight on this, we'd love to hear it. But like looking at it, especially now, it's like that the reality of peace for Ukraine, between like Ukraine being a part of Europe and Ukraine being a part of like the Russosphere, was always going to be a very delicate needle to thread. And that's just the way that Ukraine being like a Balkan country within like the rest of the like Balkan sphere is like, the thing is that Ukraine is kind of one of those countries, and again, not an expert, but Ukraine's one of those countries that really like straddles a line between two major like cultural identities. There is a very real case that Ukrainians are a part of Europe, but there's a very legitimate argument that Ukrainians have a very, like, the nation of Ukraine has a historical connection to Russia. Like, that's not cap, that's not bullshit. There is, like, very real connective tissue and cultural tissue between those places. That doesn't justify anything that Russia's done, but I always think it's important to also couch any condemnation of modern day Russia and Vladimir Putin with the unfortunate fact that like we created that monster. The US State Department created that monster. They created that monster through their classic tactic of regime change and ultimately bringing in like some monstrous right-wing leader. That's a story in many other countries, and it's exactly the same in Russia. Exactly. Yeah, and at first was Yeltsin, and then Putin. And, it's like, this is what happens when we go meddling with the leadership of, like, the sovereignty of other countries. And they're fixing to do it now to Volodymyr Zelensky. And I wonder often about who the next leader of Russia will be. I think something we'll find out even sooner is who the next leader of Ukraine will be. And I don't think that's going to be an improvement necessarily. So, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the thing that's really so shocking about Trump's transactional approach, I think, for people is the absolute nakedness of the aggression of trying to take their resources and just so openly in like an 1800s style imperialistic way, as he's been doing with his tariffs and his trade approach in general has been heavy-handed, like 19th century imperialism, essentially.
Right. All stick, no carrot.
Yeah, all sticks, no carrot, exactly. And he doesn't really understand soft power, as we talked about before with the dismantling of U.S. aid, and how that's going to become a net cost because soft power is actually less costly. That's why it was invented, that it's a more efficient use of money than having to do hard power, which inevitably is the result of not applying that soft power. Or you lose your preeminence in the world. And
but we love efficiency.
His second administration has been nothing if not the negotiation of ourselves down from preeminence, essentially, among the rest of the world, and doing so aggressively. And it's really very clear, as we've talked about in the past, that we're truly in the American century of decline now. If it wasn't
American century of humiliation, I like to say.
Humiliation, exactly. Yeah, like the Chinese century of humiliation, where the opium wars happened, and there's no longer an ability to stop private interests or international interests from just scrapping China, essentially, down to the bits, like sucking it down to the marrow, and ultimately that leads to the revolution in China eventually. And
we'll put a pin in China because, I mean, one thing I do want to make sure to say on the subject of soft power is that Ukraine being in the EU, I think there really was probably a way, and again, not an expert, for Ukraine to be a part of the EU and have better relations with Russia. That moment passed during the Biden administration, and they certainly encouraged Ukraine to keep fighting. And if there's criticism to be had of Volodymyr Zelensky, is that he's been unrealistic about Ukraine's chance of actually having any kind of definitive victory over Russia. But something that must be said about U.S. soft power is that what is NATO, and what has NATO always been, if not an extension of U.S. soft power and hard power to some extent too, but they're not the absolute unwillingness to let Ukraine into NATO should tell you everything that you need to know about what the really about.
And the parallels between the Chinese century of humiliation and now is that Donald Trump's transactionalism essentially means that we no longer really have any sense of national value besides what essentially this king dictates. And if the king recognizes something that is, I guess, a fact by reality, that you can extort Ukraine while they're weak, and he basically poses it as we are weak and we've been weak, essentially, the way that we've negotiated by not taking advantage of this fact. So it's a pursuit of GDP at all costs, essentially maximized GDP, which maximizes the value of the U.S. dollar produced for international wealth. And it doesn't necessarily, the purpose of GDP is that it's agnostic as to where the money is going. And so basically what Trump has recognized is that we're technically weak by not extorting Ukraine for their resources in this position where they need us. And that's why he keeps saying, you have no cards. You have no cards.
Right. Oh, my God. And raw earth minerals, too. Just the dumbest on earth. No understanding of soft power. And
he only recognizes power, essentially. And the thing that's so shocking is he's made it unbelievably clear that we're no longer going to put value in the idea of democracy. And that idea of Western democracy and some sort of fraternity amongst these Western democracies, he's basically announcing, no, that doesn't matter anymore. And that's been now the recognition by the EU leaders. They've basically already announced, which has been a pattern, that they're going to be looking for other leadership outside of the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, it's been pointed out that this could literally be the end of NATO, which is crazy to think about. But to get back to that a little bit, it's like NATO always existed as a tool to encircle the USSR and create a defensive barrier for the Western Bloc, and that is why NATO has after the fall of the USSR, NATO has been this entity without a real purpose besides expansion. And it's old hat among anyone who's really looked into it that there was a spoken agreement between the leaders of Russia, the U.S., and England after World War II that NATO would not expand past a certain point, and then it just kept expanding and pissing off various Russian leaders up to Vladimir Putin. And Ukraine has always been that red line because, like I said at the top of the show, there is a real, I think, identity crisis within Ukraine of, are we a part of Europe or are we a part of Russia? Most of Ukraine seems to want to be a part of Europe for obvious reasons, but it's there's a real historical connective tissue there. So, I mean, again, it's the end of American soft power in a lot of forms. I'm going to be really curious how this affects America's ability to incite proxy conflicts moving forward. And to tie it into China too, it's I'm wondering what the Taiwanese are thinking of all of this, right? Because if I'm Taiwan, I'm looking at this situation and I'm reaching out to my counterparts in China to say, like, yeah, one China for sure all day. We do not want to go to war with you, because there's no chance that they're going to look at how this is played out for Ukraine and think, oh yeah, we're going to go gung-ho against China to try and win our independence with our sturdy and trustworthy American backers. And it's old hat to say, but this is just what America does to their proxies.
Yeah, and Trump's kind of making it clear that the law of the land is might makes right. If you can take land, then do it. You have every right to. And if you're the leader of that country trying to resist it, like Vladimir Zelensky, he's making it clear you don't have the right to do that. He doesn't respect that.
Right. And Volodymyr Zelensky, I gotta say, the more I do, after watching that press conference a couple times, I do kind of even if I think he really should have stood up to the Biden administration a little bit when they had a better position to try and pursue peace. The Biden admin was the one telling them, no, you can do better than this, and he shouldn't have listened to them. That was the mistake, and a lot of people have died for that mistake. But I do honestly, props for not sitting there and just taking that absolute dog walking that they were doing to him, even if he's had to come back on bended knee afterwards. Respect for doing that. And the other thing I wanted to make sure to say is Putin's reason for inciting this conflict, the denazification, is bullshit.
Today
there are,
it is. Yeah, definitely.
Today it is, and there are pro-Nazi sentiments within modern Russia too, which has got to be one of the most cucked kinds of person you can be, to be a Russian neo-Nazi. What a loser. But beyond that, they did not think Slavs were human. Get a grip. But anyway, Zelensky, the thing I keep thinking about with Zelensky is, especially with this impending mineral deal sign, this was what I was thinking beforehand. I think this will still happen in some form, although it's less obvious to me how. Is I think that even with that said about Putin's motives for invading Russia, the flip side of that is we've all seen all these neo-Nazi symbols amongst the Azov battalion and various Ukrainian militias. There's no question that there are actual neo-Nazi factions,
and that there were in the past. Absolutely.
Yep. It's a historically anti-Semitic country. This is not a controversial. We don't have that much knowledge about Ukraine and Russia, but this is not a controversial position or something that's hard to research. And I think that there is a certain stabbed in the back myth incoming for the Ukrainian Nazis about Zelensky. And especially with this impending mineral deal signing, I was like, ooh, this is it. Because it's he's going to sign this mineral deal. It's going to make things even shitter for Ukraine, and it's not going to lead to a lasting peace. And they will overthrow Zelensky, and this will fuel anti-Semitism within Ukraine. And that's kind of how I saw that playing out.
Yeah, and
I'm less confident now, but... What were you saying?
Yeah, and I do think that this is there's speculation that this is a premeditated attack, that they were planning to do this and have Vance say this. And I do think that I agree with that it most likely is the case. That I don't think that Vance would come and speak out of terms in the way that he did without actually being told, essentially by Trump in some back room, make him kiss the ring, make him thank me. I don't think he usually takes charge of a situation when Donald Trump's in the room with him, unless Donald Trump kind of gave him the okay at some point. And that's what I have been reading. And I do, I agree with that.
I'm not sure I do as much.
Razor, but yeah, what do you think about that?
I think, to me, Occam's razor leads to the stupidest possible conclusion, which is just these people are petty and venal and
They're just stupid people. And he just came out and was stupid. Yeah, I guess it really makes no difference ultimately.
It does. You're right. It makes no difference either way.
Makes no difference.
We were laughing before about J.D. Vance sitting on a couch and how funny that is.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny that he would have the audacity to sit on a couch, and he must have been thinking at some point.
He was clearly thinking about it.
Oh God, there's a couch here. There's going to be some talk about me on a couch.
That's why he did that, because he was all worked up. He was he had some blood
like,
flowing.
Should I sit on the couch? Should I not sit on the couch? If I sit on it, people are going to talk about it. If I don't sit on it, people will talk.
Yeah. Oh
and
my
good.
God.
I want him to think about that. I want people to speculate about things that he's done with couches.
I hate that guy so much. I hate all these pieces of shit so much. It's so. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. I think that's very interesting that you see it as a potential like coordinated thing. And
now you might have talked me out of it. I hadn't heard.
I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to say either way, because if there's one thing that's like you have to remember with this administration and all these people is like, you really should not underestimate their like deviousness and evilness either. So it's like, right. I wouldn't be, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I wouldn't be surprised if Donald Trump did tell him like, make him kiss the ring.
Right, because it's like if that's what he did was basically just like tell him to like make sure to like put him in his place. It could go either way. It could go either way because clearly like,
or it's been that he's been talking. This guy's been very disrespectful to me.
Exactly.
And then Vance, feeling like his guard dog, essentially
told him what he wanted to hear.
That moment, like, and it ultimately doesn't matter, like we said.
Right. Well, let's move on. I mean, that has been unbelievable to see unfold, and it's been like, like we said, kudos to Zelensky, but he's already had to come back and kiss the ring, so who knows how that'll play out. Wish him all the best. Wish all the people of Ukraine the best. It's definitely a really, really situation. So I guess let's move on to something, I guess, slightly more hilarious, even if the subject matter isn't, which is the Epstein Files Part 1. Did you hear about the oh my God, these
who's this
idiots, the losers that like Mike Cernovich, Libs of TikTok, all of these like right-wing media people who got pulled into the White House and handed this lovely little binder from Pam Bondi that said the Epstein Files Part 1, and they all were given instructions to tweet out about how this is the most transparent administration. It literally says on the binder, most transparent administration in history, and there is nothing new or novel in these releases at all.
Yeah, wasn't it actually like released already formally, most of this information
100%,
in the National Enquirer or something like 10 years ago?
Yes, and all of it was released.
It's all redacted.
All of it was released. I think it was like more redacted.
Reacted or not all of them, of course. A lot of them are completely blind and ignorant. But there are some who are actually have been questioning the authorities so much because of Jeffrey Epstein. And that's a really funny thing, them questioning globalism and having been for so long mired in that sort of mindset, and yet not recognizing right out in front of them Elon Musk is world's wealthiest man, owns a brain shipping company, and recently said he wants to chip people's brains, wants to do basically.
And had a lot of similar interests to Jeffrey Epstein, like infinite longevity, repopulating the planet. Like these were all
wants to use,
Jeffrey
like,
Epstein hobby horses
with brain chips.
It's not an exaggeration that Donald Trump is literally the person the most photographed with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, and remember the Michael Wolff drop like a probably 6 months ago? There were hours and hours of recordings of Jeffrey Epstein where he said for about 10 years Donald Trump was his closest friend. And he said some other crazy stuff too. He said like he likes to cuck his friends by sleeping with their wives, essentially. Yeah,
it's been pretty much confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein is like a major reason why Donald Trump met Melania, and they likely had sex for the first time on the Lolita Express. And it's just like what we've said before too about the fundamental incoherence of fascism is like fascism is always hard to pin down because it's always incoherent in different forms. One of the unique factors of American fascism, and this is I think a Norm Finkelstein joint, is that it doesn't like basically every fascist movement before this has had lots of like incoherent and incorrect grievance, but there's always been sort of like a core actual grievance. Like, the position of Germany in post-World War I was genuinely shitty. And this is the first fascist movement that has been, like, by the unequivocal victors of history, by people who are, like, the most protected, the most well-off ever in history to also be moving. So it stands to reason they're more incoherent than ever, which leads to you to being obsessed with this, like, clear intelligence asset pedophile who is also literally best friends with the person you think is going to be like the white hat pedophile exposing him. And it's like, it's not controversial.
And they just fail to connect the dots in a way that really matters sufficiently that would turn this into a proper critique of capitalism, essentially.
Yeah.
They're just like 2 steps short of that, maybe 1 step short of that.
And it's exactly because it benefits them materially not to understand.
Yeah, and they've had people who were more intelligent than them feeding them from the trough. I think like guys like Steve Bannon, who really did actually recognize this argument coming from the left, kind of digest the real critiques posed by the left, and then feeding them to this reactionary, insulated, like you said, the most affluent base that has ever been created in human history.
Right.
That still feels aggrieved at the fear of losing their place in society at the top of the economic pyramid.
Right. And the thing that, like, liberals will hopefully someday understand, although I'm not optimistic, is that this is, like, it's not crazy or conspiratorial to say that Jeffrey Epstein is an asset of the CIA and Mossad, because no matter what kind of heroic shit you think intelligence agencies get up to, their bread and butter is sexual blackmail. Always has been, always will be. It's one of their key tools for manipulating global leaders around the world. It's what they tried to do to Sukarno, and it didn't work. It's Sukarno.
Hilarious with Sukarno. Yeah, look
great.
That one up.
That's a
great
that
story.
Was a great bit.
I mean, really disappointing, but
yeah, sad what happened to him. But then was J. Edgar Hoover, who is also like blackmailing people left and right. And then, like, Alex Acosta, like, it's been said multiple times, but, like, Trump put Alex Acosta in his labor secretary, and the number of hoops you have to jump through to make that something other than just they're on the same team. They were, like, they're all elite pedophiles is, like, just crazy. It's hard to understand.
Donald Trump allowed in the, I guess I'll say, alleged pedophile Andrew Tate and his brother.
I know, country, exactly.
Which is crazy. Like, and again, like, there's no conspiracies there about this sex trafficking amongst the crowd that got into Pizzagate and QAnon about this sort of thing. Just like directly right out in the open, allowing a sex criminal, alleged, I'll say. Although I feel like I don't have to, but I'll say it anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
it's pretty clear.
It's all like it's like they're all the same, cut from the same shit. And, like, anyone who thinks that this is like the white hat side of things is an absolute dupe.
Yeah, and male loneliness is really a clear problem in this country.
Yeah, and it's part of why people go insane.
With
Absolutely.
That said, did you end up hearing the Bill Burr ripping Elon Musk recently? It was pretty awesome.
No, but before we transition, the last thing I want to hit on about all the like Epstein limited hangout too. We'll call it the most embarrassing limited hangout in history, where Pam Bondi like up and then blamed Kash Patel and the FBI, and they said that like there's more stuff coming. Where we'll leave it off is like they said that there's more stuff coming, and I guess they wanted it delivered to their desk by the 28th, and as of right now, it's Sunday night on the 2nd. I am not expecting to see shit within the next 14 days. And any like Trumpers who ever hear this, you are a dupe, and I hope you learn and have some humility coming from this. I mean, the Rickroll tweet. Did you see the Rickroll tweet too?
No, I didn't see the Rickroll.
Bro,
tweet.
Like, this is how little they think. This is how little they think of you. You losers. The Department of Justice made a tweet about the Epstein case or something like that. There's like Epstein files to be released, and they had a link under it, ostensibly to the Epstein files. It was a Rickroll. They linked to Never Gonna Give You Up. That's a real thing, dude. I'm not like that really.
This
happened.
administration is such a joke.
such a
so
joke, dude. So what were you going to say about Bill Burr? He's always cool. What's he got?
Yeah, Bill Burr had some words to say about Elon Musk. I'll pull this up.
Yeah, we'll start talking about this epic Hitler.
And it speaks to male loneliness, and we'll probably get a little bit into a tangent on Elon Musk. But
yeah, I hope so.
I mean, I hate the guy. We say that all the time. Unfortunately, we got to keep talking about him because he makes himself such a major part of our.
I am become meme. He's like.
We probably won't share that one, but I do have.
We need to start experimenting with like what the dosage of ketamine and stimulants he's on is, so we can figure out like how to be that weird. We gotta start
how to kill off a section of your brain.
Yeah, like the part that feels human emotions.
I'll tell you what's funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for whatever. What a fucking baby. Just like Hitler. A fucking baby. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Laminated face. Hey, now what are you going to do? Reflag my account?
Cancel culture. Classic. Dude, yeah, like, they crow about, like, the woke mind. The way he talks about the woke mind virus, it's like, brother, you have lost the plots. Except, I say that, and he's literally, like, one of the most powerful people in the country right now. He did another interview on Joe Rogan, too. It's, like, full of all manner of dumb bullshit. I was watching someone, Blue Sky tweeted, it's like, he was, like, apparently they spent, like, 20 minutes around with the new Grok AI and having it just like completely like fail and skits out and do like all types of stupid shit. So I was like, just like stupidest piece. Laminated face is great. What is this?
Him doing the stupid comedy is illegal bit.
Yes,
that was hard to even call a bit. It was like literally the worst comedy. You can't call it comedy. It wasn't really joking. Him just saying comedy is illegal. The left makes comedy illegal.
I mean, we're trying to get good things done, but also have a good time doing it, and and have like a sense of humor, So, I mean, the sort of the left wanted to make comedy illegal, Like you can't make fun of anything. So then it's like comedy sucks. It's like nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like legalize comedy. Yeah.
The dude does not know. Comedy. Yeah. Be funny once in your life, Elon Musk. You've literally never been funny.
Crazy was him saying Doge started as a meme. That one I do actually want to touch on. Because that's like really actually a pretty revealing statement that he made.
He really, yeah. Well, there's a very like you mentioned new atheism. There's always like a very like Reddit new atheist energy to Elon Musk. And I think his obsessions with memes is very interesting. Because if I remember like anything about Richard Dawkins at all, like there is like a theory amongst new atheists, and it's like I don't know how much credibility it has, that like mimetics are the other side of human evolution besides genetics, and there's like a way in which you can understand them as a very important evolutionary force, and there might be some truth to that, but like I certainly don't want I don't want this motherfucker in charge of that, and I don't really think he's got
like
it.
Memes
he doesn't have the sauce.
He's tweeted that multiple times.
You don't have the sauce. You don't have the sauce. You're not funny.
That really reminds me of the next part of the Bill Burr thing that I wanted to share, which is about male loneliness again, bringing it back to that. Yeah, here's this bit.
Is just is beyond me, because I always felt like this country collectively all agreed that Hitler was not a good person, to put it mildly. And the irony that this asshole was able to make $1 billion in the nation that those kids saved in the 1940s would then turn around and spoon with the person that was killing their fellow soldiers it's beyond me. It's just beyond me. You know what he reminds me of? Like back in the day, like when I was coming up, there was an entire generation of comedians that I was in that was enamored with Bill Hicks. And you'd see these Bill Hicks ripoffs, and they would go on stage and they would have like a leather jacket and they'd be smoking a cigarette talking about society, man. I feel like he's doing that. I think he's like a recovered nerd, and now he's trying to be like the bad boy, this bad boy that Kate Moss would date. And I just don't think it's going to happen no matter how much money he has. I think that realization hit him.
Yeah, right.
And he didn't know how to handle it. And in a panic, he went full Third Reich.
Yeah.
He went Fourth Reich. He's trying to keep it going.
Well,
that's pretty much a good place to end that bit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like that part he said about him pretending to be Bill Hicks and wearing a leather jacket is really true. And it speaks broadly about this whole cryptocurrency trend, I guess, that's now become really a large political movement, unfortunately. Like embodied in Javier Milei. And it's the same thing. This guy dressed up as like a comic book hero, captain.
Yeah, Javier Milei. Have you seen
and
like
it's really
pictures
the same
of him?
as Elon doing the dark MAGA. Like,
have you seen pictures of Javier Milei when he like photographs with people? He does this like hilarious. He doesn't smile. He does this like it's so insane looking. It's so
it's like a nerd culture.
You should look it up.
It's a stupid nerd culture.
Revenge of the nerd.
I'll make sure
and on
to
the
share
subject
that
of
stupid
memes
picture.
too. On the subject of memes, is like, yeah, we should try and make that a thumbnail or something. But like,
and I do have the meme
One thing Elon Musk has succeeded in doing, and I will forever hate him for this, amongst many other reasons, is he has really seemingly successfully turned doing a literal Sig Heil into a meme amongst right-wingers. And it ties into that like Sartre quote you had me read earlier about like a while ago about anti-Semites and how they don't have any obligation to make sense, and they just can quietly say that like, oh, the time has passed for making sense. If you try and pin these motherfuckers down, being like, what the are you doing? What do you think you're doing? What do you think that represents to people? They're just gonna like, they think they've won by just getting you pissed off that you're literally doing a Sig Heil like the Third Reich.
Yeah, they're not obligated to believe in the meaning of words.
They're nihilistic pieces of shit.
Yeah, completely nihilistic. And
monstrous.
I think that we're right at the best part to play the meme thing with Elon Musk. Him saying like, I mean, the goofiest stuff, but he reveals also that this Doge thing started as a joke, as did crypto coins. There's a subtle insurrectionary desire behind cryptocurrency that is embodied now in what the Doge movement really is, like this overthrowing of the federal government, this overhaul, essentially, and firing everyone, embodied in like that Curtis Yarvin rage, retire all government employees. And this kind of is like the end conclusion of cryptocurrency and the popularization, because it really ultimately is this like insurrectionary movement. And so you could joke about it subtly in the open and sort of launder in this idea of an oxymoron, of course, right-wing populism. But it's like a subtle way of them signaling that they want to have a right-wing revolution, as much of a contradiction as that is. And he got to just say it right out in the open with his stupid memery.
Stupid. I hate hearing his voice, but I need to work on my impression, so let's hear it.
Yeah, let's work on it. We both need to work on it.
So,
that was something.
I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much. I'm living the meme. It's like there's living the dream and there's living the meme, and it's pretty much what's happening, you know?
You're like, I think you're bigger.
I mean, Doge started out as a meme. Think about it.
The level of cringe.
And now it's real. Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
But it's cool.
That cut out on me a little bit. I didn't hear all of it. But you were the first one to point out to me that the Doge logo, which is just everything about their aesthetic sensibility is just like in infuriating. You look at the Cybertruck, you look at all this stuff. It's like they want so bad to be cool. They want to make it illegal to not think they're cool. Like they're the most annoying nerds on earth. But something subtle I hadn't seen pointed out anywhere else. I don't think you were the first to observe it, but that parallel between the logo for that Nazi, like that union in the Third Reich that was a very important tool for crushing other unions, and the Doge logo having that gear.
Yeah, the German labor force. Yeah.
Yeah, that is fucking disturbing. It's just like par for the course.
It's a right out in the open parallel. Like they don't want to even dog whistle. They're not signaling.
Yeah.
There's been about 4 of them now who have done the salutes. And I think that was part of our subject matter that we were going to talk about, is all these people who say, my heart goes out to you now.
That's what we were... Yeah, it's like there's too many to even count, but it's been so many Nazi salutes.
Too many to count who are comfortable to come out.
And to tie it with the crypto stuff too, I mean, this is just one of those things that I think got lost in all the sauce out there, but it's definitely already been reported on. Were you aware of all of the Third Reich dog whistles within the Bored Apes?
Bored Apes, no.
The Bored Ape NFTs. Those, they were one of the most popular NFT drops. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Gotcha. No, I didn't realize.
Bro, how do you not? All my apes.
But it makes a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah, there's a video out. I'll link to you. It's been out for a while. You know, this stuff just is happening constantly.
Makes sense. They've been just hiding this right out in the open.
Yeah, there were a shitload of Nazi dog whistles within the Bored Apes, and even just the concept itself was.
Yeah, and they're choosing he's choosing to do 14 teeth on the gears, as he also did multiple tweets with 14 symbols. On purpose, just because that's a well-known right-wing trope.
And another, we've said it in the past, but it's it bears repeating that Trump is one thing. Trump is definitely a monstrous, fascistic leader in so many ways. But I really do feel that Elon is the Hitlerian figure to watch. And the only thing keeping him from being any kind of actual presidential leading figure are the rules, which is cold comfort. You know what I mean?
Right.
And great parallel between him and Hitler was the propensity to corruptly use the state as an apparatus to literally just enrich yourself, and that being totally in line with all of your fascist ideology anyway, so it not being anything that anyone who follows you really has any problem with. My favorite example of this is Hitler mandating that every married couple in Germany had to get a copy of Mein Kampf, hence making it so his book sales were boosted through the roof, because everyone who got married in Germany had to legally, have the state purchase for them a copy of Mein Kampf. And now we have Doge completely tanking this FAA contract with Verizon, and Starlink becoming the new answer for that at a way inflated price. It's this guy is Hitler. He's Hitler.
Yeah, and they're attacking NASA and going to use SpaceX to hire those same employees back.
Yeah, it's not hyperbolic at all to describe him as Hitler at all. It's really is. And on a positive note, it might not be well known. If it's not, it should be. There's some really good old TrueAnon episodes about this. I've heard some TikToks about it. We almost had our TikTok correspondent on here with us. She would have been very helpful to cover this. But the reality of Elon Musk's wealth is that it's fully dependent on Tesla stock, the value of Tesla stock. And Tesla, as a profitable company, is very much a house of cards, because they don't make money on selling their cars. They make money on selling green energy credits to other companies so that they can pollute as much as possible. They're not an actual profitable car company. They're a tax write-off company for other car companies, and they get to sell their own bullshit, stupid ass cars too. And there have been a shitload of protests going on at Tesla dealerships. There's been a movement to divest fully from Tesla, and you know what? Kudos to those people. That's good shit. I want to participate in that to the extent I'm, comfortable getting out there and putting my face in that shit. The level of repression too on people just straight up exercising their ostensible free speech that these people love is staggering. Like
Yeah,
you see,
right.
like the videos from these town halls. We haven't even touched on the town halls, but oh my God, there is a real groundswell of just just being pissed off from the general populace, because like hundreds of thousands of people are being laid off. Like hundreds of thousands of people. Lots of important jobs in the government are being just completely cut because these dipshits fundamentally do not agree with the idea of a state. They think that capitalism should be the state. They think that companies should be the state. They want us to live in like cyberpunk company towns. They think that's cool and epic. Like you people. Like that.
Yeah, for everything to break down into rural fiefdoms, into
literally
localities, essentially. And
techno-feudalism.
Essentially, I was going to bring up techno-feudalism earlier, but you brought it up now. And we'll definitely talk a bit about how the process of how essentially companies like Tesla, which figured out that there's more value in becoming a software company than a traditional auto company, how that's causing Europe and traditional manufacturing companies that had really reached the top of the manufacturing, like German autos, for example, really were at the peak of well-manufactured cars with great unions, and that's all being essentially dismantled. And the reason for that is definitely talked about in techno-feudalism. We also talked about how the German labor force ultimately took over the labor section and really behaved a lot like Doge, essentially. And that's why they're signaling with their logos this gear symbol, which you can see on the German labor force flags. The reason that they've included that is because that's kind of a model for dismantling the administrative state, taking over the unions. And I have this article here from the APWU, which has a short section here about the Nazi Party's takeover of the labor unions. They said, in place of genuine labor unions, workers were forced to join the German Labor Front, which was the national labor organization of the Nazi Party. Collective bargaining and the right to strike were abolished, and pay and working conditions were set by Nazi officials. The DAF counted bosses within its membership and was primarily used to spread the Nazis' anti-Semitic propaganda among workers. Wages were frozen, and the work week increased by 20% in just a few years. So that was a major part of how the austerity was imposed onto all German workers, and as it said, increased their work hours by 20% within a few years. So you can understand why people were pissed off in that competitive environment where scarcity is being imposed on people.
It's really bleak shit, but at the end it's like I said, go protest Tesla. That's a really worthwhile use of anybody's time.
Yeah, and I did want to include one thing before we depart, if you don't mind.
It's
Nick Fuentes saying that he actually is getting overwhelmed by how much Nazi stuff there is, because he preferred to keep it under the surface, and now that it's coming out over the table, even he's had his share of it, which is really interesting.
Is it interesting, or is it just infuriating? These losers, like, I like winking and nodding about it. It's like, how about you have a spine, you piece of shit? You stand 10 toes down on that shit, you piece. You don't think Jewish people are real human beings. You don't think that disabled people are real human beings. Like, just say what you believe.
Say it out loud.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, say it in public. Let people know.
I mean, do you want to play a clip of him talking, or what?
We can just
talk
move
about the
on.
resistance.
We don't have to.
Yeah.
He said something like it's excessive. We don't really have to talk about it. Even he complained because, like, at least 4 public Roman salutes have happened.
Oh, and there's more coming too. These freaks will be goose stepping before the end of the year. Just wait. And okay, so. That's on the Republican side. We know what they're about. We've known what they're about. Let's check on one of my favorite subjects here on this podcast. The dang Democrats, the resistance, how are they doing? You know, I mean, realistically, and it's been said many times, this is like, if you're a party that's against austerity ostensibly and against people cutting Medicare and Medicaid, this should be you're getting handed victories left and right. This stuff is clearly not popular. Trump's popularity has been decreasing. People are pissed, as we sort of mentioned earlier. Like, there's tons of videos of constituents getting pissed at their Republican leaders, and that's going to be reflected in job numbers and other stuff like that too. Like, people are going to continue to feel the squeeze on this. So what are the Democrats doing to capitalize on that? Well, there's so many things to get into. The most recent thing that I just saw on Twitter today was a tweet from a fellow. This isn't on the outline, but a fellow named Adam Wren said that last month a group of moderate Democrat consultants, campaign staffers, elected officials, and party leaders gathered in Loudoun County, Virginia for a retreat where they plotted their party's comeback. And we got a copy of their takeaways. Have you seen this yet, Vane? Are you ready for this?
No, I haven't seen this yet.
All right. Let me read this to you. So those gathered laid out 20 solutions for how Democrats can regain working class trust and reconnect with them culturally. So more than a few stuck out to the playbook. It's not all 20, but they should embrace patriotism, community, and traditional American imagery. Democrats should ban far-left candidate questionnaires and refuse to participate in forums that create ideological purity tests, and move away from, listen to this, this is a banger line, move away from the dominance of small dollar donors whose preference may not align with the broader electorate.
Just get rid of those things.
Just get rid of them. The people who, the general populace, fuck them. We need the big dollar donors. They represent a broader electorate.
And count up the big dollars. I don't want those small
and so they should push back against far-left staffers and groups that exert a disproportionate influence on policy messaging. Candidates should get out of elite circles and into real communities, e.e. tailgates, gun shows, local restaurants, churches. And the party needs to own the failures of democratic governance in large cities and commit to improving local government. So really cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Really, really cool.
I love that that's the resistance this time around. And I do love people who are normalizing Doge and all this stuff at this point. I don't know if you think we have time to do that.
I don't know if I want to read that, because I got so much more on the Democrats I want to cover here too. We'll do that reading. We're going to do our inaugural reading series soon, so look out for that. But I also wanted to touch on
this one's not that long, but we can, I think, maybe at the end if you want.
We'll do it at the end. So I wanted to touch on a few other things about the Democrats. One being Elise Slotkin. Did you hear about this too?
No, let me know what's happening with Slotkin. Oh wait,
does the name ring a bell? So Chuck Schumer announced.
Yeah,
I posted
it's the one
it in
Chuck
Discord.
Schumer just shared.
Yeah. Chuck Schumer was like, big news. We're going to be picking a rising star, news. Elise Slotkin, to be the counter speaker to Trump's, latest address or whatever the hell. So I just want to read you a brief list of her accomplishments, just to give you it's like, this is par for the course from what we just heard. But okay. First Democrat ever endorsed by Liz Cheney, opposes Medicare for all, opposes abolishing the death penalty, opposes the Green New Deal, which, come on, it's just shadowboxing shit. There's no Green New Deal. It's not happening. It's never happened.
Yeah,
acting like it was ever anything. It's one of those acid tests of if you're someone who's against the Green New Deal or against wokeness or against trans inclusivity, you're just a piece of shit. It's just you're just a political opportunist piece of shit. So as a senator, and it's not like I'm that optimistic about what the Green New Deal could amount to anyway. But anyway, so here's some more list of her accomplishments. As a senator, one of 12 Democrats who voted for the Laken-Riley Act, that it basically removes habeas corpus from ICE detainees and people who are not of documented status, voted for 8 of Donald Trump's cabinet nominees, while his administration dismantled the entire government, making her one of the Democrats that's voted the most often for Trump's picks. One of 62 Democrats.
Love that bipartisanism.
Yep, it's just a bipartisan hero. She's one of 62 Democrats who joined 148 Republicans to express disgust at South Africa's International Court of Justice suit accusing Israel of genocide, to praise White House spokesperson John Kirby for calling the case meritless, counterproductive, and completely without fact or basis. Voted for the TikTok ban, forced bill of sale, opposed student debt assistance on a vote supported by 93% of her caucus, which is crazy to think about. Voted against 85% of her caucus on whether the U.S. should even study the impact of sanctions in other countries. Voted to overturn locally enacted criminal justice and voting rights reform in D.C. Voted against 94% of her caucus to bar security clearance from anyone who has used cannabis. So she's against weed smoking too. Like, police lock-in. I'm getting high as shit.
So inspiring.
On UAW strike, you can't let a perfect deal be the enemy of a good deal. Voted with the Republicans against a bill banning U.S. aid to Saudi Arabia's war on Yemen, and voted against a bill to remove U.S. troops from Syria. So what an all-star, right? Like just more thinking there. Like the idea that these people think, oh, who in our caucus is been the most flattering and the most in line with our ostensible enemies. That's our hero.
Who we want.
Right? Like, that's who we want.
Yeah, and that's as far to the left as we can go. And
right.
Then there's the centrist opinion, which just says, well, we should really give this whole Doge thing a try. Even though it's a gross abuse of executive authority that's probably illegal.
Yeah.
But we ought to give it a shot because everybody really wants to be efficient. And efficiency is so good.
Did you want to cover anything else about... I mean, I saw James Carville's back on his bullshit. I love that for him. That slimy old catfish. But I'm happy to do this reading series, too, if you want to do that. What do you want to do?
Yeah, there was that catfish ended up releasing his own op-ed that said his recommendation for the Democrats is to quite literally roll over right now. So do nothing.
So cool.
And yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah.
And I do think it'd be funny to go into, as I was mentioning, kind of the centrist opinion, which is let's give this thing a shot. Let's normalize the notion that there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And let's consider this thing a department, even though it's not really even technically a department, because a department would require congressional approval.
Hold on, let me pull it up on my phone.
Have that.
Or on my computer here.
But so I've got it here. I'm sharing it in the chat too if you want to look at it. The article is called Federal Government Has Wasted Trillions. Trump and Musk Are Saying Enough. Opinion by Nicole Russell. Mm-hmm. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to unburden and liberate Americans who feel the pain of the federal deficit and debt through high inflation and steep taxes. When I was a kid, I occasionally worked for my dad, a small business owner who remodeled homes and hotels. I hated the work.
Just a small business owner. Just a small business owner. Yeah. Just your normal small business owner.
Normal small business owner. So of course
I read this first paragraph when you sent this to me, and I was like, I'm done with this woman. Yeah. No, I literally I'll get into it. Like read through the first paragraph to that first paragraph and then that second sentence. Read that.
I hated the work, but we listened to the talk radio, mostly Rush Limbaugh, the conservative political commentator who often harped on the massive size of the federal government. Limbaugh believed that the government should be small, manageable, and helpful tool, not a burden for the people. I loved that idea. Fast forward.
Pause.
Yeah, let's
pause. Let's just digest that for a second, because first off, for anyone not familiar with Rush Limbaugh, he was human garbage. He was a piece of shit. And there's he's dead now. Good. I'll find his grave sometime so I can piss on it
from his abuse of drugs and alcohol,
which he loved. That's the main biographical detail I wanted to hit on.
One good thing that happened in his life.
He was a classic though, Republican of moralizing and talking about the crisis of drug addicts and just acting like they're monsters for being drug addicts, while also literally being a massive pillhead. It's just incoherent fascist
that's probably
bullshit.
Why he died an early death from being a pillhead.
Yeah. Good.
I'm sure
and so
he was a happy person.
Well, and this is what I wanted to say too, just before we get back into reading this, is I read this first paragraph about this bird brain, and I just was
Limbaugh.
Fuck this person. Yeah. You're a
this
piece
person
of
admires Limbaugh, so I can dismiss them immediately.
Well, and this is I was excited to have my earliest political memories are riding around in my grandmother's minivan, listening to her listen to Rush Limbaugh. I remember that really, like, it was my first experience and understanding of politics, and I was like sub 10 years old, like a literal baby, like listening to this, listening and understanding, like, oh, this guy is a piece of shit. Like, you could tell that, like, this person's not, like, yeah, out of his mind, and coming to all of this from a place of hate. Like, that was really the thing that stuck out to me more than anything else. And it's like, not to get all, like,
is f***ing angry.
Yes, and not angry, like, angry in a way of,
not
like,
angry at
there
the
was
right
no
people.
heart.
Angry at, like, poor, powerless people.
Yes, like, it's like just hearing this person get angry at, like, black people and, like, drug addicts and poor people and, like, being a literal child and listening and being, like, a child who at this time, too, also, like, ostensibly identifies with Christian values and, like, went to church. And, like, my grandmother was even more Christian, too, so it's like listening to this and being like, this guy's a monster. Like, this guy, like, again, understood this as a baby. So, okay, let's get into this. Let's read more. So, fast forward nearly 30 years.
Fast forward nearly 30 years, I've been watching with a mix of disbelief and wonder as President Donald Trump and Elon Musk try to strip the federal government to the essentials because it is no longer small, manageable, or a helpful tool for benefiting Americans' lives. Instead, our government has become a burdensome behemoth.
Ooh, a little alliteration there. Look at you. Ooh.
The process that Trump and Musk have undertaken is undeniably messy. Democrats have smeared the effort to make the federal government more effective and efficient as a constitutional crisis. I see it as liberating. Okay, this isn't even a centrist. I'm sorry I called this person a centrist.
No, this person's a right-winger.
They consider themselves a centrist. They always consider themselves the center.
They always do, right? It's like you just believe you don't. As always with Americans, it's like we are such deeply mystified people that it's like whenever you can't even listen to like an average American describe their political like positioning and take them at their word because they're probably just a right winger, especially if they think of themselves as a centrist. Because in America, these words don't have any real meaning. Liberalism has no meaning. Conservatism doesn't mean anything. It's like the question is, how do you feel about capitalism? Like, do you think that society should be built around supporting it, or do you think that the state should be antagonistic to capitalism? That's the core question, and very few people actually come down on the latter side of that, and this person's no exception, no matter how they describe themselves. So, whatever. But let me read this next paragraph, because I want to put some stank on it. So, Limbaugh died 4 years ago on February 17th at age 70 of lung cancer. Ha! Loser! You suck! Good. You look like a dipshit sucking on all those cigars, and I'm glad you're dead. He would have loved to see what Trump and Musk are doing. Too bad he's dead. Like Trump, Limbaugh courted controversy, but also valued liberty, smaller government, hookers, pills, and personal responsibility. Piece of shit. So you can pick it up from there.
Those are goals that Trump and Musk are trying to accomplish now. I believe that in time, all Americans will enjoy more freedom because of it. Yeah, the freedom of not having health care.
Yeah, the freedom to die, like getting your arm caught in some kind of heavy machinery in a Tesla factory. Like,
and having no ability to sue.
Yeah, no ability to sue, no free health care, no Medicaid, nothing, like no state, anything anymore.
Federal government is too large and complicated. Last week, the House subcommittee...
You're just stupid! You're just stupid! Like, it's not that at all. It's actually quite anemic.
The House subcommittee on delivering government efficiency held its first hearing. I don't care much for Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican from Georgia. Yeah, trying to feel like she's a centrist. But she rightly implored the committee to be brutally honest about how this massive debt came to be in the first place. It came from Congress, from elected presidential administrations. And now that part is true. And this is what people complain about. And they complain all the time that, like, all the governments are omnibus spending bills and they're full of pork. And it's like, that's the process. If you believe in the process that the founding fathers did, which actually wasn't this 3-branch bullshit. That's a much later anachronistic interpretation. They really did believe that the legislative branch was going to be the chief deliberating branch. They wanted things to work through that bill, and they wanted the president, the executive, to cast a tie-breaking vote. Obviously, nobody wanted the executive to have the full authority because that would be a kingdom. And they were trying to conscientiously design a political system without a king, obviously. That's like one of the most core agreements that they had. And it was that essentially the Senate would be the most powerful people. These 100 men would deliberate, and because there are 100 of them, there would need to be a tie-breaking vote, which is what the executive branch was supposed to serve. And then the judicial branch adds its power of judicial review in 1803 in its own case, Madison versus Mabry. And this is really interesting now because Donald Trump actually earlier this week said that only he and his attorney general have the power of judicial review. And he also made that tweet saying that a man who defends his country or something like that can't be guilty of treason, something like that, essentially saying he's above the law.
Right. Well, and to be clear, like, this is a show that does not fully endorse. We're not like constitutional fetishists by any means. In fact, these people are, and that's one of the things that makes them so insufferable. And the reality is, like, the Constitution is a better tool for right-wingers than it ever will be for any kind of left-wing party in this country, and that should be very clear to everyone by now. But there is a real sense, like, she's not wrong that, like, there's been a lot of wasteful uses of money in this country. But the number, like, if we're talking about where it's going, it's war. It's war. It's the waste of money on losing wars over and over and over again on the empire. That's the most expensive thing our government does.
And I still think that there is it goes back to what we were saying about cryptocurrency and how it's an inherently insurrectionist mindset that ultimately wants to
I think it's cool.
Yeah, it wants to circumnavigate. Yeah, thinks it would be cool if you could find a way to circumnavigate the fact that everything gets through congressional authority and Congress holds the power of the purse. And so that is the nature of the beast, that the law only gets more and more complex. And to some extent, they've gotten very successful by memeing about a chainsaw to stacks of paper or setting stacks of paper on fire or even suggesting blowing up government buildings and the symbolism of that sort of thing. Like you have, even way back in the 90s, you have these movements like the sovereign citizen movement that inspires Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. So this goes back a long time, the idea of dismantling the administrative state, and it found purchase with cryptocurrency, essentially. And
Well, and I want to say, too, that, like, the idea, I've said it before, and I believe it, that, like, there is a very real sense to which bureaucracy is a sublimation of violence. It's better to settle things through a bureaucratic process than through a violent process. And that's just something these freaks will never understand because they think that, like, they have the same delusion that the founding fathers had about, like, a meeting of equals interests.
Yeah, and there's something that they no longer appreciate. They don't really think that they have to go through that process of democratic deliberation anymore, or they don't want to, which really is a fundamentally unpatriotic thing. And ultimately, I think we need to work on somehow symbolizing a love of our paperwork and our bureaucracy, because these people, these public servants who tirelessly go to work every day, and they really were the lubrication for our government. People who could have gone to the private sector and worked and earned more, but chose to, out of public service, to commit their talents to something they really believed in the government.
Well, and that's the other point I wanted to make. Is like a lot of those people have very frustrating jobs, and clearly this person we're reading has never Googled the term starve the beast, because that process I'm describing of sublimating violence is literally deliberately exacerbated by the people who believe this and want to spread the belief that the state is useless. That has been a deliberate Republican strategy forever,
so it's
to make getting anything useful. Yes, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that these people deliberately perpetuate. Like, my God, I'll never forget trying to get onto unemployment in the state of Massachusetts versus the state of Florida. I'll tell you, both were extremely annoyingly, unnecessarily complicated processes with a lot of like annoying, stupid bullshit means testing. But at least the state of Massachusetts actually ponied up eventually. The state of Florida never got you because, and this was like I was a part of like a huge wave of people who were in the post like 2020, like post-pandemic era where a lot of people were on unemployment. They cut that off like a faucet, and you could read the comments of the place where they issued that, like the Google reviews on the place that issued unemployment in Florida, to just observe people pleading for their lives to try and get some money that they needed from the state. And this is, again, not an accident. It's something they do to perpetuate the belief that the state is useless, when in reality it has incredible power to do things for people, and these people just want all of that power for themselves. That's what they want. That's why Elon Musk is trying to hand himself an incredibly lucrative contract, and already has many lucrative contracts that will not be examined by the Doge Department. Surprise, surprise. This dipshit. So, all right, where were we in this article? There's so many more sentences.
They don't believe in the use of civil service. I also don't think we have to finish this article. I mean, this person's obviously
fine with that, yeah.
And we know where they're going. They're saying they think there's a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think that people who perpetuate that idea, or press that perpetuates that idea, is really doing journalistic malpractice. And I think that ultimately giving license to this idea that it's even a department is a massive overstatement, and we need to question that because it did not get through congressional approval.
Right.
And if you actually do respect this country, you respect the fact that regardless of the fact that the paperwork is always going to get more and more complex, that's part of the process of democratic deliberation. It's only going to get more and more complex. If you loved a sport and you wanted to participate in the committee that deliberates on the official rule book for that sport, you would not burn the entire rule book. If you love that sport, you might have your own issues and take issue with the way that certain rules are being done, but you deliberate about that through the process. The idea of burning the country down, essentially, is a fundamentally treasonous idea that has been allowed to be laundered right out into the open through things like cryptocurrency.
Right.
And it really is a fundamentally, I think, treasonous belief system at its core.
Yeah.
That we ought to be able to essentially do what is a coup through the Doge department. And it really was a surprise meme takeover, like Elon said. And ultimately,
I am become meme.
Yeah,
Epic Hitler. Yeah. Meme. Like, let me hit one more sentence out of this, because this shit, it's just, that's that poison. It's powerful, dumb shit. So, and this will tie back into everything we just covered with the Democrats, the resistance hashtag, which cannot be trusted under any circumstances. But listen to this. And this is another thing, too, that's so consistently fascistic. Is like, even when you're at the peak of your power and influence, you're always full of grievance. You're never actually in the top seat. There's always some enemy that's just keeping ultimate victory out of, if we can just eliminate all of the rest of these communists, we gotta eliminate all of these cripples, we gotta eliminate. It's like, it's always one enemy away. So Democrats, they're coming for you no matter how right wing you go. And here's your evidence. So from the article, Democrats, of course, are resisting Trump and Musk's effort to bring federal expenditure in line with revenue. Rep. Melanie Stansbury of New Mexico, the Doge subcommittee's highest-ranking Democrat, slammed. She slammed it. They're slamming them. Slams. Yeah.
It's so cool. Firing 200,000 employees in a single day or something like they did on the Valentine's Day massacre. That was so cool.
Yeah, and yet you're getting slammed while they give you everything you want. So yeah, slammed Trump's and Musk's effort by saying they are recklessly and illegally dismantling the federal government. But even Stansbury admitted that the committee would be digging into more than $236 billion in improper payments that we see going out the door every single year. So once again, it's like, this is what all this equivocating gets you, Democrats. Like, this is not the time for, if you're going to ostensibly be the opposition party, then you need to obstruct them. You need to stop playing games like you're going to be like, oh, if we meet them in the middle and we also admit that there's too much reckless, it's like, it just looks to everyone like you're playing catch up. And in that case, why would they work with the people who are playing catch up when they've already got the fascists they want in the driver's seat? Like, you were just bound to fail. And if there's one little bit of schadenfreude to look forward to, is that I feel so confident that this strategy will fall flat on its face. Even if the Democrats are able to pick up some midterm seats, I don't know what the comes next for them for a presidential election. But if this is their strategy, it ain't it. We've got plenty of evidence to show that. So yeah, whatever.
And I'm glad we did end up looking at that article. I think another thing that's really similar to that too, mindset, was the Kevin O'Leary statements.
Oh my God.
Really embodies that similar person who thinks he's a centrist mindset and the embodiment of rationalism, of course.
Yeah.
And he said the other week that after these multiple crashes with the planes, that the reason why the planes are crashing is because we haven't fired enough air traffic controllers at this point, which is this completely Orwellian statement to make that even I suspect he doesn't really believe himself internally. It's gotten to the point where he has license now, just like these people who give the salutes. He just doesn't think that there's going to be any repercussions at this point for brazenly lying in his own interests.
They're nihilists. They don't believe in anything other than narrow self-interest. They don't believe in anything.
Yeah, as a nihilist, when it's very clear that there is a correlation between the cutting of these departments and the sudden, one of the largest plane crashes we've ever had since 9/11, the largest one, and then multiple others. At one point, it was like almost every day we were having them. And so, I mean, I'll skip the one. I think that one already went viral a couple weeks back of him saying that. But there's a great clip of him getting basically brought back down to reality by someone who points out that the government already had its own internal ways of auditing, which I think is a really clear point we need to make, that these idiots who have been repeating this propaganda of how inefficient the government is and how much waste, fraud, and abuse there is, they don't know anything about the actual process of fraud detection. And it's really revealing that even this guy who's a billionaire, Canadian billionaire, Kevin O'Leary, thinks he's one of the smartest guys in the world.
I don't want to listen to this Canadian piece of shit voice at all, but I really do. Like, if they really believe
it's well worth him getting fact checked. So that's why I think it's well worth it, because he says that the government hasn't been audited in over 100 years, which is another completely outlandish lie. He ends up getting fact checked, which I think is awesome.
I mean, that's good, but I don't want to hear this Canadian piece of shit voice talking. It's like, I'm so tired of all these people. They're just like, they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in society. They're just monsters. And I mean, I lost what I was going to say there, but like,
let me just play this little thing real quick. You're going to enjoy it.
There's no way to be surgically precision in this. You have to cut more because you just don't know. There's no way to do it. Remember, we've never audited government for 100 years. Never done this before. You may not like it.
Tom doesn't think that's right. Tom, what's your reaction to that? The government's not audited.
Every agency of the federal government, it helps to know some things if we're going to have this debate. Every agency of the federal government is audited by independent inspectors general. USAID was audited over 60 times last year. And one of the first things that Donald Trump and Elon Musk did was to fire all of the inspectors general. They fired the auditors, and they put in charge this billionaire with his 50 child interns who know absolutely nothing about the federal government. And Kevin, like what you're talking about, it might work for a company that makes widgets, because we can do without the company that makes widgets for a few months while you get in there and you restructure it. You can't do that to the FAA unless people aren't going to fly in planes for the next 4 or 5 months. You can't do that to the Defense Department unless you don't want to defend this country for the next 4 or 5 months. That it's ridiculous that we're even having this argument, and I'm someone who believes there is waste in government and there are ways to get at it, but not by firing everybody first, shutting things down.
Trying to again say that there's waste. I mean,
well, and there is there is, because it's like all the private partner, all the public-private partnerships that have gone on.
Yeah.
And to let the audience behind the curtain a little bit, there's an ongoing tension between Vane and I here where I think we should have very slim, lean outlines and just talk it out with each other. And this guy loves having lots of clips and news hits ready to go. And you know what? That's fine and all. You let us know which style you like more. But I want to sort of round things out a little bit, which is that, like, it is such a bullshit point to be making this Kevin O'Leary ass, because it's like the state is anemic. It has been for so long. It's like we said, the starving the beast strategy. It's well recorded and documented. They're not secretive about this shit. They want to make it as minimal as possible so that it doesn't work, so people believe the state doesn't work, so they can keep cutting it back and enriching their friends with their private partners. I mean, Rick Scott, it's like it's been said a million times, but Rick Scott is the largest frauder of Medicare in the world, and if these pieces of shit actually cared about waste, fraud, and abuse, Rick Scott would be locked up. So
if you cared about efficiency, you wouldn't get rid of some of the most efficient
that's
departments,
the other
like
point
the
I wanted
IRS
to make too.
And the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
That's the other point I wanted to make. It's so sad to see the CFPB go, but fundamentally, efficiency. All these people who are self-obsessed with efficiency. Yeah. You know what's not efficient? Being safe. I would love to see the work sites that this ass read earlier, what her dad's work sites looked like and how efficient they were, which probably led to loads of people being injured, because that's the story of, like, they can barely build things in Miami right now because they're being so efficient that workers are dying every 4 days. So these
and
people.
They're only concerned with one side of the equation, with the spending side, not with the revenue side. So you can take an issue quickly like Social Security, and it's like, oh no, there's so much spending in Social Security, like Granny's check that hasn't been adjusted for inflation in the last 20 years. That's too much of a payout. But
the state should be growing. I mean, the state is anemic as It's a huge country with a lot of people, and the state should be growing in proportion to that, and it hasn't been. And any asshole telling you it's too wildly inefficient, the problem is like Medicare defrauding. The problem is we don't have a nationalized healthcare system. Talking about wildly inefficient, the entire insurance industry is wildly inefficient, and anyone who doesn't have the actual moral clarity and spine to just say we should have Medicare for all, write them the off right away, because they're useless. They are no friend, they are no ally, they are an enemy at some point, maybe not now, but down the line. So them. And I don't know. I want to sign off here. So
yeah, we can sign off. Yeah. But we should wrap it up here.
For sure. Thank you again to our first subscriber, Human Person. Thank you so much. And to any Mormons, Ukrainians, anyone else listening who's got something to correct us on, by all means. If you're a Rush Limbaugh fan, written off, not talking to you, subscribe to the Patreon,
I don't know how
please.
You subscribe to this, but
well, this one's going to be on the free feed. But either way, thank you all for listening, if you're listening. And then again, please subscribe to the Patreon. We've got just one tier for now. We're working on more premium content behind there. Lots of readings that Vane's recorded. We're recording a lot of stuff with some of our other co-hosts, and just trying to keep this little show going. So again, you got any sign-offs you want to do there, Vane?
No, I think we're good. This one's gone on long enough.
There's just so much to cover. It's a deluge, like we said. But hit up a Tesla dealership and, I don't know, get a sign and at least yell at some people. Don't make it. Don't, anyone who's profiting from or benefiting from Tesla right now is genuinely a part of the problem, and that's probably a more effective thing to do than writing those clowns in Congress, because they're useless. But do that too. We all got to keep busy right now. So I'm gonna go harass my congressperson, and I'm looking for a protest at a Tesla dealership too. So yeah, get out there and don't lose hope. Stay angry. There's a lot to be angry about. Don't let them wear you down, because Lord knows I feel it too. So thank you all for listening, and all the best. Let's sign off. Bye-bye.
to my knees, yeah. Don't stop. You can't shake this off. Don't stop. They can't touch this shit. Yeah, don't stop if you feel where you're at.